The Anti-Corruption Court is trying the offence of corruption against legislators Yusuf Mutembule for Bunyole East, for Akamba for Bosiki constituency, and Sise Namuju, woman member of parliament for Lwengo district. During the last court sitting, legislators applied for bail although prosecution objected. Judge Lawrence Gidudu, presiding over the case, after perusing all sides' submissions, granted the legislators bail under stringent terms. Court in granting bail was of the view that since the case against them does not involve any personal violence, and that presented sureties are highly paid public officials, with this they are fit to stand sureties for the accused. Although they were granted bail, Paul Akamba will not enjoy his freedom, since he has pending charges of corruption and abuse of office in another court. Court will resume on 8th August 2024 for further hearing of the case. Members of Parliament Yusuf Mutembule, Paul Akamba and Sise Namuju are facing charges of corruption for soliciting a 5% bribe from the Uganda Human Rights Commission budget for the financial year 2024-2025. Meanwhile,
what do you do for a living?
I'm a lawyer by profession and currently the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission.
Since when have you been chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission?
Since September 2021.
Accused persons?
Yes, my lord.
How do you know the one on the extreme right? Extreme of your right?
Extreme of my right? The Honorable Yusuf Mutembule, at one time vice chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee.
Yes. About the one in the middle?
Yes, my lord. He's the Honorable Akamba Paul, MP for Busiki County.
About the lady on your left?
Yes, my lord. Honorable Sise Namuju, woman MP, Lwengo district.
Madam, you say you are chairperson of the Human Rights Commission since 2021.
Yes.
What are your duties?
Head the institution. I chair meetings of the top.
We shall
Of the institution.
What that means. So you say you are the head of the institution? Yes.
Yes,
as head,
lord.
what do you do? What are your duties?
I chair meetings of top management. I supervise the accounting officer.
Supervise the accounting officer? Yes. Any other duty?
I present policy statements and budget framework papers before Parliament on behalf of the Commission.
Policy statement and
budget framework papers.
So you present this to where?
To the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee.
There any other duty that you want court to know?
I preside over the hearings of the Human Rights Court.
Great. You say you know Mr. Mutembule. How did you come to know him?
As Vice Chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, before which we appear to present the documents I mentioned.
Did you make any appearances before that committee in 2023?
Yes, my lord.
Do you remember around what time? Around what period?
Several times. In 2023, around mid-year. Mid of the year. I'm not sure of the exact date when I appeared.
And month?
Around
you appeared
May,
several times around mid-year?
Maybe May 2023.
About May?
Yes, my lord.
Month of May.
Yes, your lordship.
Yes. 2023.
Yeah. You remember the business that transpired in your said appearance?
I appeared there on invitation by the committee to present.
Just note that we are writing, so
okay.
You take
the committee invited me.
Yes, to appear
to
and
appear and present.
the policy statement of the Uganda Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Yes.
In my presentation, I highlighted the financial challenges faced by the Commission, indicating that we were
Financial challenges.
of the Commission, indicating that several major activities of the Commission were unfunded, and this was negatively affecting our performance.
Yes.
Specifically, I said that the Commission had requested from government for 58 billion Uganda shillings, but perennially what
From
was
government?
from okay, 58 billion shillings, Your Lordship.
Yes.
But what had been released to us was a little over 19 billion, which fell far short of what we needed to execute our mandate.
Yes.
The committee listened to our cries, but nothing changed.
Okay. So in this particular appearance where this business occurred, do you remember who, in terms of members, attended?
The committee chairperson attended the meeting, Honorable Robina Rakojo Gureme. The vice chair also attended, Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli, and the other members whose names I cannot remember.
Did anything happen after that appearance?
There is a member of parliament. I don't know whether he attended this particular session as a member of this committee or he as an interested senior citizen. He, as we were exiting, he informed me that he would take me to his colleague who would help support our budget before the budget committee of parliament.
You have a recollection of who that member?
I think I
Yes.
do, Your Lordship. Honorable Fox Odoi.
And which colleague was he proposing?
Honorable Fox Odoi had attended that meeting.
Yes, my lord. I remember that
Okay.
at the conclusion of that meeting is when he led me.
So which member, which colleague did he lead you to?
Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli,
Where?
in his office.
What happened?
I had been accompanied by my personal assistant. I was advised to leave her out and enter.
Accompanied advised by who?
By both honorables to leave her out. By Honorable Fox Odoi and Honorable.
Yes.
I said I would avail her to him, but I wanted to first hear what the solution was.
Yes.
He said that usually all MDAs offer a cut of 5% of their budgets to members of parliament before it is approved as it is, and that we should do the same. He later asked for the telephone number for the accounting officer, which I availed to him.
What followed?
I told him that was very difficult. It was a big challenge to me. And that I didn't know how I would go about that, and how I would account for the 5% of our budget.
Hearing of the corruption case against the former Executive Director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Baterana and co-accused flopped again, following the absence of Ewan Batanda Perez, also accused in the case. Although criminal summons were...
He said my accounting officer perhaps would understand better. To the best of my knowledge, he eventually called her.
How did you know that he had called her?
She usually comes to me.
This time what happened?
I'm her immediate supervisor, like I said. This time she came to tell me that Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli had put to her that she would have to consent to 5% of our budget to be released to him. Else, we would not get money. That's what she told me.
Were you in position to establish any other details beyond the calling between him and your accounting officer?
My accounting officer told me she would rather leave that job than go along with that. Indeed, our budget remained at a miserable 19 billion shillings.
Okay. Just for the record, the name of your accounting officer.
She's called Ejang Margaret.
You talked about A1, by A1 I mean Honorable Mutembuli, calling your accounting officer. Other than calling, to your knowledge, was there any other encounter between the two?
Between the two of them, maybe it is safer that she talks about that. Of course, we did not get the increment we had requested for.
Okay.
But
yes.
At some point, Honorable Yusuf called me, saying he would take me to our colleague on the budget committee, who would listen to me and help us.
Was this still in 2023?
My recollection is yes. Yes, 2023. I think towards the end of the year.
Okay, you say he proposed. Did that happen?
Yes, my lord.
What happened?
I remember it was a Saturday when Honorable Yusuf asked me to meet him at Parliament, which I did.
Meet him
at Parliament.
Which you did, yes?
Yes.
Yes. What happened?
He took
Saturday?
me to an office, the office of, I think, the Vice Chairperson of the Budget Committee.
Yes.
And I presented our issues. I remember telling him about a very important conference in Geneva.
You presented your issues on what?
of our financial constraints, which had incapacitated the execution of our mandate to the satisfaction of the people.
Yes. Yes. You said you presented your financial constraints which had incapacitated your performance of the satisfaction of the people.
Yes.
Yes.
There is a stool in that box where you can sit and adjust this to you in case your shoes I challenge you.
Most obliged, Your Lordship.
So do you feel like sitting?
For now,
Okay.
I understand.
Yes. So please proceed from that point. You say you presented you to a colleague to whom you presented
Our
issues
financial
yes,
challenges.
Your financial challenges. Yes.
And he told me that you should know what we do here.
Who
The
is
vice chair
speaking?
of
The vice chair.
Yes. And he got a
He
piece
told
of...
me that
But you should know.
Yes, yes. We ought to know what we do.
what you do here. Yes.
Then he got a plain sheet of paper, picked a pen and wrote there 5% and showed it to me.
Did what?
He got a plain sheet of paper and wrote on it 5% and showed it to me.
Yes.
At that point, I knew that we were destined not to have our budget improved upon. I was terrified.
By 5%?
5% of our budget, total budget, to be given to them.
You went into a shop.
Yes, my lord. Because in my previous employment, I had witnessed
It's
innocent people face trial.
So the judge
Okay.
just wanted
At
to
the
know
point
about-
I knew that the budget would not improve.
Yes, my lord.
So you say you were terrified by 5% of your total budget to
Yes.
we were at that point.
Yes. So I left with
I was terrified. Mhm.
So you say you left
yes, believing that we were destined to never having our budget improved.
just for the record, who is the vice chair of the budget that Honorable Mtembuli took you to?
I don't know whether he's still the vice chair.
Or who was
But
he?
at that
At
time,
that time.
it was Honorable Mudimi wa Makuyu.
Sorry?
Honorable Mudimi wa Makuyu.
Mudimi. Is this Mudimi?
MP for Bulambuli. Then, yes. Now Elgon County.
That encounter,
I
So you left.
updated.
did anything happen?
I updated my accounting officer what had happened and just by way of consoling each other. Okay. But what happened eventually is that on 13th May, I think, if I remember well, 13th May this year, I received a call from Honorable Yusuf to meet him and colleagues.
You got a call from Honorable Yusuf to meet him.
To meet him, he said I should meet him with some colleagues at Hotel Africana. I
Okay.
think it was in the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Yes.
Allow me to come to this later. I just want you to tell court before the 13th of May 2024, did any other thing happen in relation to this financial predicament of your institution before you got
It
this
became
call?
too much for us. The donors had stopped almost any form of funding to the commission. And we were totally...
Stopped funding. Just
Yes.
imagine that you are writing so that we don't
So,
disturb you.
most obliged.
Yes.
We had started closing some of our offices, indeed. We had closed our field office in Ibundibujo.
Yes.
And we were moving on to close a few more. At that point,
You were to close.
a few more field offices,
Okay.
because we could no longer sustain them.
At that point,
At that point, I decided I had to meet His Excellency, the President, and tender my resignation. Eventually, I succeeded in meeting him.
I think the question was why.
Why?
just
I wanted to resign because I felt I had been put in an office which government was not interested in funding. I had failed to perform.
Just follow me. Just follow the speed of my. So you say because you felt you were put in an office which government wasn't interested in funding.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was being graded as a failure.
So you say you met the president.
Yes.
You remember around what time?
Around April this year at State House in Entebbe. It was deliberate to cripple the commission so that we close shop. He looked shocked and asked me whether we don't prepare budgets the way other institutions do. And present them before Parliament. I was hesitant to speak because there were two other people.
Yeah.
in that.
We go to the details, to the relevant details.
Okay.
What eventually happened?
What eventually happened is I told him about the demands placed on us by some members of Parliament before they can approve our budget.
What did you specifically tell him?
I told him of the cut, the 5% cut demanded by some MPs before they could approve our budget, and that I was not able to meet those demands. And I informed him I was quitting the job. Actually, the president gave me ample time, beyond 1 hour, almost
He
2
listened
hours.
to you.
He
And what
listened to
eventually
me.
happened?
Eventually, I revealed to him what exactly I had been told by specific members of Parliament.
And by specific members of Parliament, who do you mean?
I meant Honorable Yusuf Mutembu.
Yes, what followed?
What followed is he told me I will catch them.
Yes. What did he do?
He authorized the laying of a trap if they ever called me again, if he ever called me again.
What do you mean by that?
He said he would work with the police to get evidence so that he takes action. He actually, after I left State House, he called me on phone and told me he was very disgusted and he was going to catch any MP who attempted to ask for that, any cut of our budget.
Okay.
He told me not to quit my job.
So did anything follow?
Yes, my lord.
What followed?
What followed is on 13th of May this year, in the afternoon, I don't remember the exact time, Honorable Yusuf called me on my phone. My phone
Called
number
me.
is, yes,
On my phone, please give the number.
0772 516 840. Asking me to meet him and some colleagues at Hotel Africana.
And some colleagues were?
At Hotel Africana,
Hotel
in
Africana.
Kampala.
Do you remember which line Mr. Mtembuli used to call you?
No, Your Lordship. Not rammed it in my head.
Say you've not crammed Ewanu's line, but do you have it?
Yes, my lord,
Where do you have it?
in my phone.
My lord, with your indulgence, I move that, I pray that the witness be allowed to access her phone to put on record which number Ewan used to call her.
She can do it. I mean, phone number is a phone number.
Please check your
Issued against Batanda Perez. He has never appeared in court. Court has now set 16th September 2024 to resume with a case and criminal summons extended against Batanda. Court prosecution informed the court that inquiries into the case are complete. Dr. Byarugaba Baterana, together with the other co-accused, are facing charges.
Phone has been shown to defense counsel, so I have more details than you imagine. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, so we are back to this day, the 13th of May 2024. You say Mr. Mtembuli calls you to Africana to meet him and his colleagues.
Yes, my
Proceed.
lord.
Where were
At
you
that-
when he called you? Maybe we begin from there.
I was at Housing Finance Bank.
You are within the city.
Yes, my lord.
Yes. Yes.
Followed?
What followed?
Actually, he called me at least 3 times, I think. Oh, okay. When he called me first,
Yes.
okay. When
When
he
he called you, what happened? What followed?
I found, I called the ADC to His Excellency the President. Major Agaba Betty.
Major Agaba Betty.
Why were
Yes,
you
ma'am.
calling Betty?
Because His Excellency the President had told me to help him catch any member of Parliament,
So why were you specifically calling Betty?
to inform her, to inform His Excellency the President through her of what was happening. Specifically, that I had received a phone call from a member of Parliament asking me to meet them at Hotel Africana.
Yes, you called Betty.
Yes. And Betty asked. Betty informed me she had instructions from the president to lay a trap to catch them. Betty told me not to move anywhere at that point, but wait for her.
Yes.
I waited for her
Yes.
at Housing Finance Bank. She arrived after almost an hour, I think.
Yes.
She came with a device, a recording device. She told me she had instructions from the president that I use that device to record the proceedings of that meeting.
Yes.
She taught me how to activate it. At that point, I proceeded to Hotel Africana.
What form of recording device was this, by way of description?
A pen
And how did you go to Africana?
by car, in my official government car.
Do you know the number plates of your said official car?
Interesting. I think I know it. UG 11 UG
UG,
1142.
other than that car, with whom did you go, probably?
To Hotel Africana, I went with my driver and my bodyguard in the same car, in my official car.
Did you have any other car in your company?
Yes, my lord.
Which other car?
A double cabin pickup.
My lord, the aspects which are becoming like leading questions.
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah.
Can improve on it.
I'm most obliged.
I went with another car. I usually move with another car, which carries my security detail.
You have an escort car?
Yes, my lord.
So you arrive at Africana?
Yes, my lord.
Yes.
Shortly before I reached the reception of the hotel, I activated the device. I called Honorable Yusuf to find out where exactly they were. And he mentioned a restaurant. I don't remember the name of the restaurant, my lord, but he directed me. He gave me a physical direction where they were, and I found them with ease.
So who did you find?
I found Honorable Yusuf Mutembuli with another member of parliament, whose name I didn't know at that stage. But who he immediately introduced to me as Honorable Paul Akamba, member of parliament for Busiki County.
Of abuse of office and causing financial loss to government of over 6.3 billion. Prosecution alleges that the eight committed these offences between financial years 2015-2016, 2016-2017, and 2019-2020. All the charges against them carry a minimum sentence of 21 years.
So they offered me a seat. I sat with them. And they told me they had been with a colleague, a female colleague, but who eventually got tired of waiting for me and left. But that they would call her back.
Yes.
Honorable Yusuf said the budget was to be approved within the next 2 days.
Which budget?
Yes, my lord?
Which budget?
The budget, the national budget.
Of how much?
I mean,
The national
okay.
budget was to be approved in 2 days' time.
Yes.
Okay.
And that then was the time for them to help me defend our budget as presented before the budget committee.
Yes.
When you say defend, you mean the 58
Billion.
billion budget?
Yes. And he said it was important that their colleague arrives.
When you say he, just
Honorable
be
Yusuf
specific.
said
Okay.
it was vital that their lady colleague arrives and we sit together. it was getting a bit late, I requested that we hold the discussion, the three of us, without her. But Honorable Yusuf said she was vital. She was very crucial for anything to move.
Yes.
Indeed, she later arrived. And Honorable Yusuf asked me whether I knew her. I had seen her on TV. And he said we call her Sise.
Yes.
And I completed the name. I said, yes, this is Honorable Namuju of Lwengo District.
Yes.
This is the number.
The first.
0776
0776
888
888
058.
Sorry,
058.
I beg your pardon, my lord.
776 888 058.
Master Blind.
And you say which one is the second?
0772
772
971
971
992.
992.
Yes, my lord.
So he called
My
you.
lord, can we look at the phone?
Oh yes, absolutely. Counsel is a suspicious man by nature.
No, my lord, it's not by nature, it's an attribute of fair hearing.
Yes, we need to see if those numbers exist, if they are not arising out of something else.
He
And
said,
who was that third lady?
Honorable Sise Namuju,
Okay.
A3. He said they would work together, the three of them. He said they,
Work together.
yes, they would seek
Yes.
they would seek compliance from their colleagues in Parliament, and it required money to do that.
What?
To seek compliance to support our budget, and that process needed money. And Honorable Namuju inquired how much of our budget, what percentage I was willing to surrender. I said previously you had mentioned 5% of our budget.
Yes.
And he said, here is a situation where you have absolutely nothing.
Yes.
That budget, among others, included the activities we were to execute and the corresponding sums of money required to do those activities.
Yes.
And they all the three of them looked at it to determine which activities they would pick money from. Those which they thought maybe were easier to account for.
Yes.
And one of them was particularly a bit tough.
Who,
Her tone,
if you may be specific.
Honorable Namuju, her tone was a bit tough.
What?
Her tone. She was mainly speaking Luganda, which I understand, although I cannot speak well. And she said, after we work for you and you get this money, and you don't, and we don't get our cut. She used Luganda, so how to translate it? Okay, the word was intabuka. And she reminded me the campaign period is near and they needed money. Campaigns for re-election. And all the three of them agreed that I should go and have a chat with my accounting officer, Margaret, to convince her that we needed to consent to the 20% cut so that we at least get some money.
Did they disclose to you the purpose why they needed the 20%?
Okay, they said they were about to go for campaigns for re-election. They needed money also to distribute to some of their colleagues.
Did they particularize which colleagues?
Budget committee.
Yes. Did they disclose any other persons other than the budget committee?
Ministry of Finance officials. They said we'll handle all of them once you consent to the 20% cut. It will soften our colleagues in Parliament, but also Ministry of Finance officials.
What else transpired?
They told me that after I discussed with my accounting officer, I should call Honorable Namuju. And it had to be the next day in the morning. That is 14th of May this year. To inform her whether or not we had consented.
Yes.
And Honorable Namuju left. I remained with the two MPs, A1 and A2.
Did anything happen before she left?
Well, Honorable Yusuf said she's so powerful she reaches everywhere. That's how he put it.
How were you to call her?
By phone, specifically on WhatsApp. Those were the instructions.
Whose instructions were this?
Honorable Namuju.
Did you know her number on which you were called?
I knew it that day. I did not have it before.
How did you know it?
She beeped on my phone and I saved it.
Are you able to tell court which number she beeped and you saved as her number?
No, my lord. But the number is in my phone, I think. So I'm allowed to look at it.
My lord, I make the same prayer as before.
Yes, get to your phone.
The number is, can I go ahead and?
Yes.
0772 560 999.
You say Honorable Namuju left and you remained with the two colleagues, the other two.
Yes, my lord.
Yes.
But within a short time, I announced my departure. Now is the time for me to leave. So I left for home, my home.
What followed?
What followed, my lord, is when I reached home, I called Major Agaba Betty that I had executed the instructions of His Excellency, the President, and that I should surrender. I wanted to surrender to her the recording device. I told her that was my first time to do any recording. I don't know how. I didn't know the quality of that recording, and I wanted her to listen to establish whether the quality was good enough.
What followed?
She listened to it. She said the background
Okay, she listened to it. What followed?
I handed over the device to a police officer. I think her name is Jacqueline from CID.
Police officer from?
Directorate of Criminal Investigation.
Do you know the location? CID, which place?
At Chibuli, suburb of Kampala.
Yes. After you handed over to the recording to the CID, did anything follow?
What followed is that a few days later, I think 3 or 4 days later, I got a call from His Excellency the President saying he was so incensed upon listening to that audio recording. And that he would seek legal advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions if any offenses had been committed.
What followed?
What followed is I was asked to go and record a statement at Chibuli CID headquarters.
What followed?
My lord, the person who called me is an officer called Kasinje.
Okay.
I think Susan Kasinje.
That's okay.
Okay.
Did you record the statement?
Yes, my lord.
How many statements?
2 statements.
Other than recording the statements, were you required to do anything, any other thing?
I was required to surrender my mobile phone for forensic examination. An officer called Mark Odong,
Okay.
I don't know his rank, he asked me that I had to first consent that I was handing over my phone willingly and that they had the permission to search my phone to any length to find any evidence touching on the matter.
So what did you do?
I wrote a very short letter to police giving my consent to search my phone and ideally handed it over to them.
Yes. Did anything follow after?
It was returned to me after about 12 hours.
And how was it returned to you?
It was handed over to my driver to bring it to me, which he did.
The names of your driver?
Wahab, Wahab, 2024.
Did you sign it?
Yes, my lord. Is it okay if I read it out? Okay.
Just follow what I am asking.
Okay. I signed it.
My lord, I pray to tender the consent letter being referred to that is a man.
Yes, my lord. For several years. Almost 6 years plus.
Are you familiar with his handwriting and signature?
Yes, my lord.
Are you in position to identify document written and signed by him?
Yes, my lord.
Look at the document and tell court if you are in position to identify it.
Yes, I do, my lord.
What is it?
It is a handover note for a mobile phone. Number 0772 516.
Mobile phone number
0772 516 840. Belonging to me.
dated when?
17th June 2024.
So that note is a what? Is an acknowledgement of
It is-
receipt?
Yes, yes, my lord. Although it's titled
Handover.
handover note.
Headed
Bracket.
handover.
Yes. Indeed, he duly delivered it to me.
Who acknowledged the receipt?
Aliki Wahab.
Did between you and the accused persons at Africana, just confirming if you listen to it, whether you are in position to recognize, identify, whether it's the conversation that you saw recorded.
Yes, my lord.
My lord, I seek that the audio recording be played for court and the witness to identify the same. It's,
My lord, we have strong protestations.
Yes, Mr. Kutana.
This witness in the dock is not an expert in voices. It takes an expert person to identify a recording and correlate it to a voice. She's not. She doesn't have the competence.
My lord, probably apart from that, we have also not dealt with the admissibility issues surrounding that gadget. I think the proper thing is we could have dealt with it before she finally identifies it.
No, she can't tender.
She can't.
She cannot tender it.
She can't.
Yes, but why are you saying she cannot listen to it? Because tendering is a process. It requires how it was.
If I may not be mistaken, she did not lay a proper background as she listened to it. Instead, it was the other major, Betty Agaba, who actually listened to it. So without that background, how does she now want to listen to it here?
So when Agaba comes, Agaba did not record. So Agaba will come and say, this is the voice
This is
I
the
heard, and then we recall the witness to hear whether she's in the conversation.
No, but the thing is, she did not tell us that she listened to it.
She recorded. She has told you she doesn't know whether the recording was okay or not okay.
Yes, that's what she said.
Yes.
And
So when
that's the
she
evidence. So how does she now start identifying? Just because she recorded?
no, she identifies her voice.
Probably.
Yes. She's not tendering anything.
Much obliged, my lord.
Yeah. See? She's recording her voice. This is my voice. This is what happened. And she goes home.
Most obliged.
The problem.
Yes.
Playing the voice will go on record of this court.
Of course.
But we have not yet dealt with issues of admissibility of the recording. And if the recording goes on record, even if later we discredit it and it's not admitted, you never know. It would have somehow prejudiced the mind of the court.
So how is she supposed to identify her voice?
No, a competent person other than her. I already said
there is
she's
an
not
expert
competent.
in her voice.
There is.
Are you suggesting?
This is a recording.
Yes.
Which can be manipulated to appear as if it is a voice.
Exactly. So is there somebody who can say, this voice has been manipulated, it doesn't belong to her?
Yes, of course.
Who is that person?
An expert in...
What is he called?
In voices.
So that person would have taken her and listened to her and said, now when I listen to this machine,
yes,
and I listen to you, your voices have been tampered with.
Precisely, my lord, you are spot on.
Who is that person?
A forensic voice an analyst.
Then that is very good, because then he would be able to say, you are not the one speaking, your ghost is the one speaking. Yes, Mr. Kandeve?
My lord, my objection, what Land Council for the state is trying to do,
Yes.
can only be dealt with if that voice or recording is admitted. At the stage we are at now, my lord, the witness told us he surrendered the equipment he had to the police. He has not told us how he would identify it. This equipment, what is its make, whatever, what would go through. Then after we have looked at that admissibility, yes, this is the equipment, the chain of evidence. This is what he handed over to police. This is what was a thing. From there, we would go into playing it when the court is sure that this is the equipment that the witness obtained. It is of Phillips make or Concord, whatever name. And then from there, once it is verified that this is the equipment, then we would play it. But now for State Council to say, we play your voice. The voice from heaven, voice from which equipment that we have not looked at, and we know that all equipment has got serial numbers, and as clearly put by the witness who says she's a lawyer, that they were laying a trap. There are steps you go through as police to lay a trap. Recorded somewhere. This is the equipment we are giving you. This is the length. We have verified the equipment. It has no pre-recorded voice. And go and do the work. Then
a conversation. None of you is talking about a witness who is not a police officer recording a situation and handing over the device to be processed forensically. That's what I want. That's the argument I want.
okay.
Yeah,
My lord,
your submission is related.
my
to
lord,
an
on that one, then that will take us to what the state has disclosed. The state has given us at least 3 witness statements. 2 from Mrs. Wangadia and another one from a police officer. The statement of a police officer is telling us that Mrs. Wangadia handed a recording equipment or recovered the recording equipment from her. But the 2 statements of Mrs. Wangadia are telling us, as disclosed, that she handed over the recording equipment to Agaba, to Major Agaba, to be specific. And in her statement, there is nowhere where Mrs. Wangadia recovers it from Agaba, because she ends by telling us she has given it to Major Agaba on the very day that it was recorded. Yes, and she didn't listen to it. Now, how it comes to police, this is on 6.
She said, I handed the device to a police officer from CID Kibuli. That is her evidence on this record. Your police statements you are talking about, not my record. Then
Yes.
she says the officer is called Susan Kasinje of CID, called me to record a statement about that. Yeah, but are we doing cross-examination now?
And that is good, my lord. That is the 6th version of her story now, for us that we are getting. Because in the police statement, the police officer is called Chakuwaire, not Kasinji.
I'm sorry, but I'm at pay.
Yes. The court has asked me.
Yeah.
I think now you sit down when your colleague stands. That's the rule of thumb.
I'm at pains to listen to an attempt to make a submission on the basis of evidence, not on record, from my colleague. And I don't want to say is...
I think I'll ask you to respond. They are saying they're having challenges for her to listen to a voice that she never listened to.
My
at
lord,
all.
The witness is the recorder.
That's right.
She's the one that took the recording and participated in the conversation.
Yes.
At this stage, we are simply seeking to play the recording for her to confirm to court whether that recording is the recording of what transpired in the meeting. Now,
It's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky. Both of you are not putting it properly.
no, my lord, if I may just, because she is a participant in the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yes.
She certainly knows her voice.
She recorded, but she did not play it.
Yes.
That's where we are. So the defense is saying, look, if she gave it to process the voice, that's fine. But then they should have played it for her.
My lord, I can, with your indulgence, lay that background.
My lord, objecting to that. My lord, you cannot.
But whether
Just-
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not a big deal. My lord,
Jonathan.
if my colleagues,
Jonathan.
just a minute, Caleb.
Okay.
If my colleagues feel that it is necessary to go to that extent, my lord, we can lay that background. But to the extent that she's a participant, she's capable of identifying her voice. She's also capable of identifying the conversation with the people that she interacted with. Now, the rest that seem to be a problem, my lord, are procedural issues, and my colleagues, I believe, should raise those objections upon our prayer to move court, either to tender or to deal with the recording in any other manner. My lord, for now, it's a question of listening and identifying.
My lord, in brief rejoinder.
Just before you rejoin.
Yes, Mr. Morgan.
Finally, my lord,
Yes.
the procedure as desired by my land brothers and sister.
There are two sisters.
Yes, and sisters, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
And sisters. I'm at loss as to where that procedure, my lord, is vested in law. Because, with due respect, it has no legal basis, especially what Mr. Kandele was telling us.
Mr.
My lord, with your leave, for the record, I'm Rubihayo Brian.
Rubihayo.
Yes.
Yes, Rubihayo, Brian.
The procedure is simply that we follow the thread to guide us and ensure that there is no breaking of the chain of evidence. The witness has testified.
The moment you talk about chain, you are now talking about tendering.
Yes, my lord, and
she's not tendering.
And my lord, my submission is that a witness has stated that she recorded and passed over a recording device to a police officer or to whoever she passed it. She never played the device to hear the recording herself. She has never played. So it should be the witness to play it, should be the witness who got that device and played it for the first time. It should be that witness. Because for her, it would also be her first time to hear it. So my lord, it's a simple thing. We are simply saying, let them bring that witness who retrieved and played the recording for the first time. That's when it can be played. But at this point, it is prejudicial.
If I may add.
But even herself, she has said, I do not know how this recorder operates the device. I do not know how to operate it. And I didn't hear it. So my lord, I think we do not need to burden her to start identifying what she has not heard herself as well. I so submit, my lord.
My lord, when it comes to admissibility of electronic evidence of this nature, the Electronic Transactions Act, specifically Section 8, did not envisage obstruction of admission of electronic evidence by issues of non-compliance with rules of evidence. My lord, under subsection 1, the provision is that in legal proceedings such as this, the rules of evidence shall not be applied so as to deny admissibility of data messages or electronic records. So what my colleagues are speaking to, they are requiring strict adherence to the rules of evidence, but which rules are not also being cited. But worse still, they are objecting to admissibility even before we make a prayer for admission of the piece of evidence as evidence. So that procedure, my lord, they are talking about, it's our humble view that they should be in position to cite the law or cite an authority that requires court to do what they believe was not done.
We are
Section
dealing
7 of what?
Section 7 and 8 of the Computer Electronic Transactions Act do not do away with the rules of admissibility. They actually lay the procedure of what should be followed before an electronic data is tendered in court. And my lord, what we are talking about here, to see the applicability of the two sections, is who can tender.
Who is tendering?
Who can tender for identification what was recorded.
But who is tendering so far?
Okay, my lord, the state is seeking to play the audio. For her, she has not testified that she had the audio before. She can only identify the device she used. That's where she stopped. Now, when it comes to extracting what was in the device and play it, it is the person who extracted it who can say, the audio you have played is what I extracted from what Miss Wangadia presented to me on a device. Mm-hmm. It's a very thin thread, my lord.
And then how do we get Wangadia to identify her voice in case the recording was captured?
My lord, she has never heard that her voice is on that device. She could have recorded something else. She could have recorded a certain noise and whatever. For her, she can only identify. My lord, that thin line that you're seeing, the thin line is that she can only identify the device. Then what, if there is anything recorded, it can only be the person who accessed that device and extracted
What
data.
does Section 8 say, excluding
The rules of
rules evidence relating to what? To whether a matter is original or what?
Yes, my lord, it relates to the originality of the document.
Is
but
that
my lord,
what?
there is also
So
section
what is
7.
its use? You've cited it. What's its use here?
My lord, we have to read it together. There is section 7, which talks about the authenticity of the data message. And it says, where a law requires information to be presented or retained in its original form, the requirement is fulfilled by a data message if the integrity of the information from the time when it was first generated in its final form as a data message or otherwise has passed assessment in terms of subsection 2. Now, my lord, what we are talking about is that this audio we seek to play was created by a device at a certain time. There is someone who extracted that message to put it in a format they want to play here. That person is not here. It's certainly not her. She only carried a hardware and presented it to a certain officer. So she can only identify and say, yes, this is the device, it was like this, like she's stating, it was like a pen. Then another person should come and say, this is what I extracted, and this is what I found. Whether or not she's there talking, or there are some other things that will be dealt at that stage. But for now, she cannot identify the audio which she has never extracted, because it is not in an original format. And that's what Rule 7 is talking about. So my land colleague, Mr. Mwaganya, is citing Section 8 out of context and also in isolation of Section 7. So my lord, it's our humble prayer. The witness can identify the device, if any. And then after that, we shall have another witness who created the audio to come and play the audio and say, this is what I extracted. I so submit, my lord.
Anybody else?
My lord. If and when the gadget is presented, the transcriber who transcribes information from the gadget is called, say, yes, this is the gadget I received, and this is what I transcribed, and this is the voice. Her evidence will be complete. She does not need to embark on a journey which cannot conclude. I insist that she has no competence to identify the so-called her voice, because with these gadgets, voices change. Somebody can play your voice on a computer, and you listen to it, you yourself. You think it is yourself talking.
Listened to the objections vehemently raised by the defense. I shall prepare a ruling on the matter, because it determines how we proceed going forward. It's already 1:15 or so from my clock. I adjourn the hearing of the main case. Criminal session case number 4 is hereby adjourned. And I shall give you a date at 2:30 today. 2:30 today, we have got 3 bail applications. So we shall listen to the 3 bail applications and determine whatever will come out of them. I'll give you a date for the ruling on the issues raised in her case, so that we determine whether she will listen to her voice or she will not listen to her voice. And forgive me, I was looking at it. What was there on 6th? Where was my mind today? But going forward, I want you to ask your advocates also to cooperate, okay? So that 8th and 9th of August, we can deal with this matter. Okay?